So we hadn't done a couple coaching sessions because I let the room open all day, and that was kind of essentially the coaching session. I want to get back to them and go over something. It's going to be very long, but I just wanted to reiterate, because I wasn't recording, that it's important with these numbers, the numbers out of Lombardy, Italy, the numbers out of Italy, knowing the times they come out, in the 9 o'clock hour from Lombardy, and the 11 o'clock hour for Italy now, and New York is 12:30 yesterday, 10:30 today, roughly Central Time. Those three are important. The overall U.S. numbers are important, but you look at New York as a country in and of itself. So the markets are watching that to see if it's tipping or if it's getting worse and what to expect. They also, obviously, with Italy being the benchmark and the leader of this whole crisis, and they show a few days of some better numbers. And like I've said before, you got to start somewhere. So their number yesterday, 2 days ago, was plus 5.5% in the whole country, plus 4% yesterday. We'll see what happens while we're maybe on the air here in this 11 o'clock hour. Lombardy had 1,154 cases 2 days ago and 1,047 cases. I don't have percentages, but they went down about 100 cases. So you got to go sideways before you go lower. You got to fight at the high, so to speak, and we know that in charts. I want to build off of what webinar we did like a month and a half ago that was a real big hit, and I just want to show a couple drawings that you could put in a notebook to really put your head around what's going on in the market in just a pattern, all right? And really create a good ready, aim, fire by a pattern recognition, trying to keep it simple. So the name of this is retracement or new move. We're always trying to decide, is this a pullback of a move or is it a new move? And what's the difference? So I think you guys are going to like this, building off a little bit of the one we did 6 weeks ago, and I know a lot of you guys liked it because unsolicitedly you came and said, I like it. So here's how we're going to roll this out. What's the difference? First of all, we know what a move is. And if you don't, let's draw it. And you should have a notebook and you ever see a guy's notebook and he's got really cool, like, not cool, but little drawings? You don't have to have a bunch of that. Just be kind of simple with it. A move is generally a rally. Let's keep everything in a rally, for example's sake. All right. A move is a push from a lower price to a higher price. Forget about how much and everything else. And measured moves, forget about that. We don't care. So that's what a move is. It's a move up. It's a move down. Then you look at a retracement. What is a retracement? A retracement is just that, retracing the move. If it retraces too much of the move, you question the move. If it retraces half the move, it has the chance of doing this. And what's this? This dotted line, we would call it the continuation. All right, so are we clear? The move is number one, the retracement is number two, and number three would be the continuation, which you would see and expect to see it to make a higher high and continue to rally and look like this beautiful uptrend. But your mind has to start fragmenting these things out as they're moving, because it's easy to see it after the fact, like I just drew, but you got to live it through the whole thing, correct? We're not going to get into details of what's a measured move, how many points you think is good, in what market. Man, there could be all kinds of variables that's getting too scientific on me. You want to just know move, retracement, continuation. Move, move, retracement, continuation. Move, retracement, continuation. Now, where people get mixed up is in the transition. Is this a retracement? Number two, right here, or does it become a new move? We talked about this. Well, if it runs deep on this move and where it started, it's probably a retracement. That should be easier to understand. You know, if the move is here and the retracement takes it all back, it's probably no longer a retracement, even though it just retraces all move. It probably is a new move, and there's a turn in the market. But let's take that a step further. Let's talk about a move up and a chop that goes a little sideways. Is it going to continue and go up? Or is it setting some swing lows where it does that? So now this over here, guys, becomes the move. This has to be understood as the chop. During it, certainly after it, you recognize the chop, the consolidation box, same thing. And then the breakout had, if it's long enough, becomes another move, just a new move. Italy. Here we go. Let's take a break. In line with Monday. Flattening out plus 4% yesterday. They got the same amount of cases plus 4%. So plus 4.1 yesterday, plus 4% on the screws today, the Italian numbers. Flattening. They like that because it's not at least an uptick. They like to see a plus 2%, plus 1% at some point later in the week. But flattening is the same amount of cases yesterday as the day before, as the day before, as the day before, right? They were plus 5.5% Sunday, 4 yesterday, and 4 today. 4.1 yesterday to be exact, 4.0 to be exact today. Forget about the raw numbers. The death went 837, which is a little bit of a pop, but that's our lagging indicator. Not to be insensitive, but they are. The new cases, again, showing a flattening. All right, so let's get back to this. I would generally think that's a little bullish, but I think we need to see a plus 1% or something like that, right? We need that next move. They're starting to bake in that Italy better flatten out. And so the trade is if they get a plus 10%, then it's bearish. But this is sideways to bearish, I would say. Not a big surprise, kind of what they wanted, flat, flat, flat. They're not getting that big downtick, certainly not getting a big uptick. And these are the Italian numbers. And you should write down plus 4% and write down that it came out same time as yesterday. So you're on top of it. There are no surprises anymore. So right after 11 o'clock Central, Italy's going to report their numbers. And tomorrow they get a plus 1%. You could buy this S&P. It'll rally on a plus 1% the first time, or a plus 10%. It'll break. All right, so let's get back to this. This is example number 2, right? All right, the whole thing. It's a rally, move, chop, and then this move. This is often mistaken as a retracement. So when I drew this up, people will be like, this is going to be a retracement, and they're wrong. Usually it's a new move, and the new move gets retraced, and now it starts to head back down. This becomes the retracement. This becomes the continuation, right? So you're going to move up right in here, chop sideways, and then the breakout, whether it's a head fake look to it or whatever. But you're starting to think of this progression in a pattern as a new move instead of a retracement. Now I'm going to read some of the things that I wrote in this news and in this preparation, and I added chop. But I want to let me see if I could type it in at the same time. All moves, if strong enough, will retrace and then continue. All right. Often, retracements are/can be confused for new moves. Let's read these two again. All moves, if strong enough, will retrace and then continue. Often retracements are or can be confused as new moves. Is that a new move? Nope, it was just a retracement of this move. All right, so that's important. Let's get rid of some of the illustrations and go back to this. And these are notes that I have. How can we delineate? I like that for a word, Bruce. Or predict when it is a move or retracement. New move or chop. How can we delineate or predict when it's a new move, a move, retracement, and what? So remember, moves get retraced. Retracements will get continued in the direction of the move. A move will get retraced. Is it a new move, which gets retraced and then that way? Or is it a retracement off of this move from there to there, and then it rallies in the same direction? This isn't as much going on as you might think. Ask me a question. Schumer is calling for hazard pay for coronavirus frontline workers. Neither here nor there. Those stats out of Italy kind of were really vanilla, meaning they were expected to be at least flat at the very least. If it came in plus 8%, it doubled what would yesterday. That would have been bearish. If it came in 1%, that would have been bullish. It came in 4% in line with yesterday. So the flattening continues, and that's what the markets are looking for. New York already came out, and remember that these numbers come out roughly, except for New York, roughly at the same time in the morning. We will get moves off of them. Drugs used for patients on ventilators running low. It could be a little near term bearish, because first time we've kind of heard that as a headline that coming down. If the drugs are working and they're running low, that's no good. I want you guys to know this. The classic move retracement, and let me draw it like this. The classic move, I'm going to separate them. Retracement, continuation. I broke them apart. Move, chop, and then at some point a breakout, and that's a retracement of this move. Generally not, because they duked it out in here. They fought it out, and now it's a new move. If it's a little short guy and it comes back, different story. You know, and we have these in the markets all the time. So when you go through your progression, you always are looking at and saying these words. You hear me say that was a good move. How far did that move go? How far did this pullback? Retracement and pullback mean the same thing. If I say pullback or I say retracement, I mean the exact same thing. And so that's there's always that sticking point in everything. And until you can identify what the sticking point is, you're going to have trouble getting it better. What do I mean by sticking point? Again, the pivot of going in the direction and the path of more confusion or spinning out and understanding it more. And so the charts are being read real time. Real time. The closer you are to the real time and understanding it, the better you're going to be able to predict the next real time. Also remember, when there's a new move, is where there's opportunity for it to continue. Why? Because not many people are predicting this move. So they're not short for it, and they're not even looking to get short on a pullback for it. And generally, there's a continuation. They're not short for it. It's a new move, so not a lot of people are on it. And a lot of people were thinking, what? The retracement. They're looking to get in some previous move up, and they're buying this thing. And that's, of course, what helps it not go up and turn around and actually have the reverse. So all these things are all part of reversals, transitional moments, and understanding how to break apart moves. Whatever your periodicity is, break them apart, and you'll do a better and better job. Now, I kept this short for a reason. It's because of everything that's going on. And I want you guys to take breaks when you can. For those that watch this video in the future, it's the end of March 2020, and we're in the middle of this shutdown with the coronavirus, and the markets are busy, then slow, then busy, then real busy, then controlled busy, and everything else in between. You have to. Canada just released their numbers. So you're getting different countries, different regions, different cities that are hot spots to release their numbers day over day, and markets are trading that. That's the driver. But you're watching too much news. I'm going to leave you guys on a personal note. If you're watching too much news, you're just either consciously or subconsciously going to get negative or stressed. It's normal. But it's like driving past a car wreck. You got to look, right? You got to rubberneck. That's what the news is, you know? And I think that if you're doing what they're telling you to do is all you could control, and you should watch the news, but you got to moderate. You got to modify rather, and you got to make sure that take weekends off maybe. It's hard in our business not to watch the news. It's a part of our industry, so we have to watch it. I have to keep on what Italy is doing and what New York is doing. We have to keep on that. So it's impossible to get a break during the week from this. But on the weekends, you can. And I think it's a must because we got 4 more weeks of this till April 30th. And with their fingers crossed, that's worst case scenario. And so I'm really thinking, and the market's really wanting not the, I'll also just add this because it's important. The market's wants to come back. And when we hit April 30th, whatever the day is when the businesses open back up, nothing's going to open up with a vengeance unless the fear is gone. So if the door is open and there's eggshells, we're all going to walk on those eggshells, worried about still getting this thing. It's just more under control. But if they find some sort of therapy, they're not going to find a vaccine by April 30th or whenever this shutdown is. But they could find some really great therapeutic drugs in the next week or two that remove the fear of people caring if they get it or not getting it because there's a little preventative stuff. Now we could come out swinging. That's the moment the markets will really rally. Something that we could come out swinging when that April 30th date comes and goes or pulls it in forward. So you guys have a sense, really know how to anticipate what to look for next, I hope. These numbers daily, the fact that these numbers are coming in and where they were yesterday and the day before, therapeutic drugs, if they could create a pivot or a turn, things could change in an hour, they could change in a day, better for worse. Keeping us ear to the ground with things on the ground with Sandy in New Jersey and Dr. Steve in Long Island. Things are not good. Find tipping point moments that they tell us about that's later, and then the markets get then the news reports on. So keep that in mind. I got a quick question here. Yeah, this is something that's hard for me to answer in this setting, other than because it's pretty general. But the first thing that this individual says, I didn't do well today. I think it's because I'm trying to do something I seem not to be able to do. There's your answer. If you're not able to do it, stop doing it, or do it with lower size. Do it where you're not going to trade the money and not consider it bad. Consider it paid practice. But if you know you're not good at it, you're not going to be able to beat your head and try to do it. The worst thing that people do in this business, in any business, something they know they're not good at, and they're trying to turn that weakness into a strength. Play to your strengths, get stronger at certain things, know your weaknesses, and then work on your weaknesses with less risk. And not try to duplicate what you did yesterday with what you're trying to maybe do today with something you don't think you're good at. If you're why would you focus on anything else and then work that stuff out? If he's good at, and he's talking about being good at 2 to 5 ticks, be good at that and push it out slowly. But you change it from 2 to 5 ticks to 5 points. You could have number one admitted that wasn't what you did well, and number two, maybe it won the day for that anyway. And that's the thing is people try to implement things on days that aren't good for that, and that kind of changes it. Or if they know it's not weak. This was a good comment and question because a lot of people feel or have this idea, and they don't, without the kind of group dynamics to say, hey, why are you trying something you know you're not good at? This ain't the time to try it. And you don't go right into trying something. You leg into it. You lay into it. You're great at building decks. Now you're going to build a house. House falls down. So a lot of things people do when it comes to trading is like what they do when it comes to drinking. I'm telling you, there's not a lot of difference between being drunk emotionally with money and drunk emotionally with alcohol. You do things you didn't realize you were capable of doing, or then you do things you didn't remember you did. And nowadays they show you pictures. We'll see everybody tomorrow in the room, 8 Central. Be careful this afternoon. Again, people are going to watch this in the future, so what I'm going to say next isn't as relevant, but there is, if they keep testing the 25-35 area long term, you're going to have some shorts maybe crawling on each other to get out. They defended that area super, super well the last 3 or 4 days, including overnight. So that becomes a point where you could stay up there, they'll go through, and the shorts will be like, hey, higher prices today and yesterday aren't necessarily expensive, but they got to start moving through there. Always be prepared for some negative headline in this case. Got to be prepared, positive or negative. Have a safe rest of the day and week. Just do what you're told, and you guys will be fine. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing what I'm told. Unless when I go out, I get swarmed by a bunch of pretty women. I can't control that. I can't control that. Social distancing. I mean, what do you want me to do? Go in one of those bubble cars that the Pope drives in? Want to go for a walk? Then I'm not walking. So it's hard. It's hard. You would think a germ and a virus would just keep them away. I should wear a sign. Just pretending like I have it doesn't work.